Is once again going to cover functions, how to graph functions, and using the slope-intercept shortcut to help us graph faster. So for this problem below, I want you to create a table using 5 ordered pairs and then graph the line using a ruler. So just like we've done before, there are 2 different types of tables that you can use for this problem. Whoops, hopefully I can make the table a little bit straighter there. The first one is you can use the 5 ordered pairs that I prefer for x, which is -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. The other thing you can do is you can look at the denominator of our fraction, which is 3, and you could then make your x values multiples of 3. Both ways will get you the same line. So I'm going to graph these points, and I will pause the video just to save us some time. So I ended up making these 2 tables, which both gave me the same answer. Now, the problem on the left, you might have written this as decimals. So like this could be -2 and 33/100ths about. It should work out the same both ways, though. If it looks drastically different, that probably means we made a mistake somewhere in the converting to a fraction to a decimal. So the problem looks like this. If I was doing the problems on the right here, I would be doing -6 and then -5. And if you notice, I should still get the same both ways. It's just going to look a little bit more spread out. Okay, 3, 1. There we go. And then 6, 3. So both ways, I'm going to make that same line. But it depends on which strategy made more sense to you. So for our next problem, we're using that same line, y equals 2/3 x minus 1, and we're using the graphing shortcut, which is finding the slope and the y-intercept to graph quicker. Well, the slope is 2/3, or rise over run, and the y-intercept is -1, or the ordered pair 0, -1. So I graphed my first point, and I'm going to rise 2 and run 3. And I can do that as many times as I want. Or I could go back down 2 and back 3 as many times as I want as well. Both ways should give me the same line. Now, once again, like I talked about in the last video, this process here is making this table over here. So they absolutely should match. Our next problem is going to be graphing functions using a table once again, but now we're going to get harder functions to deal with. So like before, we're going to pick the x values of -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. But now we're going to be plugging this into this part of the equation and solving for y. Well, -2 times -3 is +6 plus 2y equals +4. From here, I'm going to solve my equation by subtracting 6 from both sides. 2y equals -2. And I'm going to divide by 2, not 1, to get y is equal to -1, which goes right here. For my next point, the same thing is going to happen. I'm going to do -3 times -1, which is +3, plus 2y equals 4. And once again, I'm going to solve my equation by subtracting 3. 2y equals 1. I divide everything by 2 to get y is equal to 1/2, which you can write as the fraction 1/2 or the decimal 5/10. I want you to solve the next few on your own, and then I'm going to fill them out and unpause the video. Now, you can solve these by doing the equation strategy on the right again, but you should eventually get these 5 ordered pairs. To graph these points, it should look a little bit something like this. I take these and I make a line. And I am done. Now to do this with the graphing shortcut, once again, I have to set up my equation, just like I had before. And now I have to get y by itself because we're looking for y equals. And we currently have negative 3x plus 2y equals. So the x is on the same side as the y. So I'm going to do the opposite of negative 3x. And I'm going to add 3x to both sides. So that gives me 2y equals. Now, once again, it's like boys and girls at a dance if Mr. Schmidt is chaperoning. They can stand next to each other, but there is no touching. So it's going to be 3x plus 4. You could write this as 4 plus 3x, but I recommend putting the x first because in y-intercept form, the x is first. From here, I just need to divide everything by 2 to get the y alone. So I get y is equal to, I'm going to leave this as a fraction, 3 over 2x plus 2. And my equation is done. To do the graphing shortcut, though, I need the slope and the y-intercept. My slope is 3 over 2, and my y-intercept is 2, or 0, comma 2. If I graph 0, comma 2, I go right here. And from here, I'm going to rise 3 and run 2 repeatedly. To make my line, I can also go down 3 and back 2. And I can do that as many times as I want. From here, all I have to do is I graph my line, and I am done. So you're getting close to the quiz that comes after section 7, and after that is the test. But as always, if you have any questions, please let me know.